Maria stood at the bustling intersection of Maple Avenue and Fifth Street, clutching her resume with sweaty palms. At 25, she was filled with dreams of financial success, but her journey so far had been riddled with confusion and hesitation. Raised in a small town where opportunities felt as distant as the stars, she saw her parents struggle to make ends meet and vowed not to repeat their mistakes. Yet, despite her ambition, Maria often felt lost. She had tried various jobs, waiting tables, retail sales, and even a brief stint as an intern at a marketing firm. Each experience taught her valuable lessons but left her frustrated. Maria yearned for something more, something that could offer not just stability but also a chance to build wealth and personal growth. However, her mindset about money was clouded by doubt. She viewed it as a puzzle too complicated to piece together, filled with scary black and white numbers that once made her father sigh in defeat each month. Nevertheless, what drove Maria forward was the desire for change. She envisioned herself in a secure office, strategically planning marketing campaigns that could increase sales and boost her income. But this dream felt impossible without the right knowledge and skills. Each morning, she left her small apartment, determined to learn more and gain a deeper understanding of strategic thinking. She found herself drawn to local business seminars by her community college in hopes of meeting mentors who might guide her, but Maria knew that challenges awaited her. Would she be overwhelmed by doubts and temptation to give in? Would she have the patience to navigate the twists in her path? Exploring an unfamiliar world of finance and strategy was daunting, but the light of her dreams flickered bright enough to chase away the shadows of her fears. With determination in her heart, she took a deep breath, stepped forward, and prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Maria stood alone in her small, cluttered apartment, stacks of books surrounding her. They were filled with tips on personal finance and success stories of those who had transformed their lives. Each night, after working her last shift at the diner, she devoted hours to reading these pages, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. It was more than just a struggle for her financial independence, it felt like a battle against the deep-seated beliefs she had carried for so long. To boost her motivation, Maria followed financial experts online, many of whom seemed to radiate confidence and know-how. She found one particular vlogger, Emily, who shared practical advice on budgeting and investing. After watching Emily's videos, Maria felt a spark of hope. Emily spoke in simple terms, breaking down complex ideas like saving techniques and the importance of building credit. Inspired, Maria made a promise to herself: she would change her life, one step at a time. The next morning, Maria took action. She purchased a small notebook to create her budget. Sitting cross-legged on her bedroom floor, she carefully wrote down her income from the diner, along with all her monthly expenses. The more she wrote, the more she realized how many unnecessary items she spent money on: dining out, impulse buys at the store, and even those daily coffee runs that just drained her wallet. It wasn't easy to accept this, guilt washed over her like a tide. But she knew this was the start of a new mindset. With a precise plan clutched in her hand, Maria decided to seek encouragement from her friends. She called up Jenna, a close friend from college who had found success in her small business. But to her surprise, Jenna was skeptical. "You really think cutting back on little things will help you? It takes way more than just watching videos and budgeting," she said, a hint of doubt ringing in her voice. Maria felt a pang of disappointment. So much for support. Undeterred, she dove deeper into her financial education, determined to prove the naysayers wrong. But with each attempt to stick to her budget and follow a new routine, self-doubt crept in. It was easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information online. Focusing on her goals felt like trying to balance on a tightrope. One slip and she feared she would fall back into her old ways. Despite this struggle, Maria worked hard to create healthy habits. Each Sunday, she set aside time to review her budget, checking off goals and celebrating small victories. She began to notice her little wins: a checking account that wasn't overdrawn for the first time in months, avoiding a tempting brunch date with friends to save instead. With each realization, her confidence grew, but the voice of doubt still whispered in her ear. Could she truly maintain this new path? Time management became another challenge. With her work at the diner and her new study routine, it was difficult to find balance. Some days, the thought of reading one more chapter felt overwhelming. How could she juggle work, learning, and life? Those moments of frustration tested her discipline. Instead of giving up, Maria set aside a few minutes during lunch breaks to review notes or listen to podcasts on investing. Gradually, these small slices of learning felt rewarding, igniting a passion that made her want to push through. Maria often reminded herself that beginnings were hard. This path would not guarantee immediate results. She was slowly learning to view each stumble as part of the journey, a necessary stepping stone toward her dreams. With determination at the front of her mind, she vowed to keep stepping forward, one resource, one lesson, and one victory at a time. As the weeks passed, Maria's hard work began to bear fruit. With every budgeting session, she felt a sense of control returning to her life. Her confidence started to rise, and with it came the realization that she was capable of much more than she had ever imagined. It wasn't long before a significant opportunity crossed her path, one that would put her newfound skills to the test. One sunny afternoon, Maria received an unexpected call from Mr. Jenkins, the owner of the local coffee shop where she often stopped for a quick pick-me-up on her way to work. He sounded excited as he spoke, sharing how he was looking to expand his business and open a second location. "I remember you from the diner, Maria. You have a good head on your shoulders. I need someone like you to help manage the new store," he said. Panic and excitement hit her like a whirlwind. This was her chance, a real opportunity to step into the business world. However, with excitement also came anxiety. Working alongside Mr. Jenkins could mean more responsibility, several hours beyond her current shifts, and navigating situations she hadn't encountered before. She needed to decide quickly, would she jump at this chance, or stick with her comfortable, predictable routine at the diner? Sitting at her desk that evening, Maria felt torn. Participating in the coffee shop's opening could offer her real-world experience in finances and management, two things she was passionate about. Still, what if she failed? As her mind swirled with the possibilities, Maria turned to her notebook. Going over the pros and cons of the new opportunity, she noticed a pattern. She was ready for a challenge and had started to understand financial basics better. But yet, uncertainty loomed large. If she took the leap and it didn't work out, what would that say about her ability to succeed? With a deep breath, Maria turned to the lessons she had learned. Left over from her recent readings, the idea of calculated risks echoed loudly. Instead of considering her decision from a place of fear, she needed to assess it through a lens of growth. What was the worst that could happen? She might struggle initially, yes, but on the flip side, she could gain invaluable experience, build savings, and boost her confidence. That night, as she tossed and turned in bed, her anxiety began to shift. She logged into forums dedicated to entrepreneurship, absorbing stories of those who had faced similar crossroads. Each tale of perseverance fueled her resolve to take action. She jabbed her fingers on her phone screen to schedule a meeting with Mr. Jenkins, feeling both nervous and excited. On the day of their meeting, as she walked to the coffee shop, Maria felt an electric mix of fear and thrill. Mr. Jenkins met her with an encouraging smile, and as they discussed the details, she felt her conviction strengthening. They talked about finances and the goals for the new location. Hearing him explain his strategies calmed her fears, as if he was offering them both a safety net. Amid this unfolding opportunity, doubt lingered like a shadow. Would she measure up to his expectations? With her heart racing, Maria reminded herself of all her learning. This was the chance she had been waiting for. As the conversation deepened, the thought of taking a step outside her comfort zone transformed from daunting to exhilarating. After discussing all aspects, Maria made her decision clear to Mr. Jenkins. "I'm ready to take on this challenge," she said, her voice steady now. The moment she spoke those words, a tidal wave of empowerment washed over her. She could visualize the path ahead, embracing the uncertainty of what lay beyond. In that instant, she recognized that taking this calculated risk was not just about the potential professional achievement but about believing in her resilience and capability to adapt. Just when Maria began to feel comfortable in her new role managing the coffee shop, life tossed a heavy curveball her way. A sudden storm hit their town one Friday afternoon, flooding nearby streets and, unfortunately, the coffee shop. When Maria arrived at the shop to open for the weekend, she was met with a shocking sight. Water had seeped through the door, ruining furniture, equipment, and much of the stock that was stored at the front. Her stomach dropped as she surveyed the damage, the realization settling in that this setback could have huge financial repercussions. As she pulled out her phone and called Mr. Jenkins, her heart raced with worry. "Maria, I'm just as shocked as you are," he said on the other end, his voice filled with disbelief. "This is a major blow, and we'll need to assess the costs and figure out how to move forward." They discussed possible steps, but Maria felt the walls closing in around her. That afternoon, Maria sat at home feeling like the weight of the world was resting on her shoulders. Old habits started to resurface. "Maybe this is too risky," the voice inside her head whispered. "What will people think if you can't manage this? You were doing so well, but now it's all falling apart." Frustration bubbled within her. It felt disheartening to feel those old fears creeping back into her mind, questioning her growth after she had worked so hard to get here. Days went by, and Maria could see anxiety etching itself onto Mr. Jenkins' face. They attended meetings to discuss repairs and lost inventory, all while navigating complicated insurance claims. Each time they met, Maria pored over spreadsheets and cash flow statements to assess costs. She realized they needed to adapt quickly if they wanted to keep the business afloat while recovering from this disaster, but as each plan moved forward, Maria felt overwhelmed. The more they discussed budgets and resources, the more she began to doubt her own decisions. Was opening a second location really viable now? What if this was the opening of the end for them? She found herself slipping into the old mindset of her past, where she felt trapped and unsure. The pressure was mounting, causing her confidence to bubble over into frustration during meetings. Once again, she felt like she was fighting with two sides of herself, the confident manager who wanted to stand firm and recover, and the fearful girl who once watched her parents struggle. One evening, while stuck in these swirling thoughts, Maria opened her notebook and began jotting down her worries. She wrote down every fear she had about the business, every doubt swirling within. As she let her pen flow across the page, a reality struck her. These fears were just that, fears. They did not define her new path or her worth. Determined to reflect on how far she had come, Maria forced herself to review her budgeting techniques and revisited her goal to create actual results despite the setbacks. Instead of focusing solely on the storm damage, what if she employed the lessons learned from financial experts? This disaster could become a learning opportunity, not an ending. Slowly, her thought process began to shift. She picked herself up and decided to engage with her community. Reaching out to regular customers for support not only helped morale but also sparked local interest in fundraising efforts for recovery. This renewed sense of purpose fueled her motivation. What if their mistake could be turned into a chance for growth? Despite the fear rooted in her old experiences, Maria knew she had to push forward. The fluid, insistent optimism inside her began pushing aside the anxiety as she took one small step toward recovery, reminding herself that challenges, although tough, could lead to uncharted paths of strength and resilience. As Maria stared at the damaged coffee shop walls, the reality of their situation settled heavily in her heart. They had made it this far, but now, the looming decision could change everything. Reports from the restoration team painted a dire picture. Repairs would cost more than anticipated, and losses from the damaged inventory were piling up. Mr. Jenkins looked to her for guidance, and his trust weighed on her like a heavy cloak. Sitting on a lopsided stool with a small notepad in front of her, Maria began to assess options. The numbers danced in her mind, intertwining with fear and the lingering taste of doubt. They could either take a substantial loan to cover the costs or cut back their plans altogether. If they borrowed money, it could mean one of two outcomes: they'd either bounce back with renewed strength or plunge deeper into turmoil, unable to repay the debt. If they chose to back off and scale down, would it feel like relinquishing the dream they had built? Her mind raced in circles, and she felt the pressure constricting her thoughts. What if I fail? She thought repeatedly. Yet another voice inside pushed back, reminding her how she had overcome obstacles in her life before, how far she had come in her understanding of finance and business. No risk, no reward, whispered a softer, hopeful version of herself. Needing clarity, Maria made a list out loud as she paced across the room. On one side, she spoke to herself, if I take the loan, I'm betting on our future. We hire more staff to create buzz and promote a reopening event, which could attract more customers. The thought excited her. An influx of sales could elevate their medieval coffee shop below their current location and open the door to increased profits. But then she added, setting her jaw, on the other hand, I risk sinking us deeper into debt. If the reopening doesn't go as planned, and we struggle to pay back, she stopped, letting the weight of that potential failure envelop her silence. Could she really take the leap? Would it feel like a betrayal to her previous struggles? She thought of her parents and their battles with money management. How they sometimes failed to take calculated risks led only to stagnation and frustration. Would following in that path mean giving up? It frightened her to think of repeating their mistakes. In the midst of her confusion, a thought struck a new chord. Looking out the window, she remembered visiting the local grocery store. The community loved shopping there because behind every product was a local story. They would be interested in supporting something closer to their hearts. What if Maria rebranded the reopening around that sense of community connection? This can be an unexpected opportunity, she muttered to herself. She decided to reach out to customers with a survey asking how they felt about having a community-centric event, blending ideas of local food, artists, and small businesses into the coffee shop experience. Taking a moment to breathe in and out, Maria realized that even in her uncertainty, she had agency. Maria understood now. Taking a calculated risk wasn't just about the money, it was also about building relationships, inspiring her community, and trusting her instincts. Summoning her courage, she worked out a plan to propose to Mr. Jenkins. The moment she found clarity in her decision felt transformative. She wasn't just bouncing back from a crisis, but also choosing to redefine her future based on what she had learned. With a glimmer of resolve in her eyes, Maria was prepared to take bold steps toward recovery, knowing well that success required belief not only in the numbers but in her capacity to thrive amid challenges. With her heart pounding, Maria called Mr. Jenkins the following morning to share her proposal. She positioned the idea of a community-driven reopening event, envisioning a gathering that would allow local vendors, artists, and creators to showcase their talents while celebrating the coffee shop's revival. Let's focus on the people who have supported us. This isn't just about rebuilding, it's about reconnecting, she declared confidently. Mr. Jenkins paused for a moment, considering her words. You really believe that we'll get customers walking through our doors again? He asked. I do, Maria replied. With the right marketing and local engagement, we could create a buzz. It's our chance not just to recover, but to thrive as part of the community. Hearing the excitement in her voice, Mr. Jenkins agreed to her plan, and together they began organizing. Over the next few days, Maria reached out to nearby businesses, inviting them to participate in the event. She created social media posts and printed flyers while sticking to a strict budget, hoping to spread the word without breaking the bank. As the days turned into a week, anticipation filled the air. Maria could feel the energy in the community growing. People were beginning to show interest, congratulating her on her bold idea. But with each new interaction, there was also fear. What if no one showed up? What if they lost their investment in preparation? Yet, instead of giving in to these fear-based thoughts, Maria pushed through, focusing on the principles she had studied. Finally, the day of the reopening arrived, and Maria felt both excitement and trepidation coiling in her stomach. The moment she arrived, her heart raced at the sight of colorful banners flapping in the gentle breeze and tables filled with local products. Her volunteers, mostly friendly faces from the neighborhood, were busy setting up. Feeling a serene determination wash over her, Maria greeted each vendor and made time to thank them for their support. As the event began, a steady stream of people filled the shop, buzzing with energy and conversation. One by one, customers grabbed coffee while appreciating the creativity around them. Maria stood at the counter, fully engaged in the moment, greeting regulars and introducing newcomers. It felt electric, a beautiful tapestry of community woven through her special vision. By the end of the day, the coffee shop was packed. Crowds gathered not only to buy drinks but also to meet local artists and take part in discussions about future events. The joy of connection and community was palpable. That evening, Maria counted inventory with Mr. Jenkins, and to her astonishment, they had exceeded sales expectations. But more than just numbers, Maria felt the impact of their decision. She saw how dreams transformed into reality through careful planning and determination. In navigating through past fears, Maria had learned critical lessons about adapting and embracing community. Her mindset had shifted from a narrow focus on her previous struggles with money to understanding wealth as something to be built on relationships and shared success. While she had experienced challenges during the previous weeks, they had led her to this profound moment: the power of action based on strategy, purpose, and collaboration. Maria stood behind the counter, smiling at her bustling cafe, knowing the experience had rippled out far beyond just financial success. It changed not only how she viewed wealth but also her place within the community's fabric. With renewed confidence, she embraced everything that lay ahead, ready to build on this newfound foundation, guided by the principles she had learned on her transformative journey. In the weeks following the successful reopening of the coffee shop, Maria felt as if a new chapter had been written in her life. The rush of that busy day lingered in her mind, not just as a fleeting event but as a vital turning point that influenced her outlook profoundly. As customers kept pouring through the doors, she had the opportunity to witness the long-term effects of her decisions. With the boost in sales, Maria and Mr. Jenkins began focusing on stronger financial strategies. They set up weekly meetings to review profits, analyze customer behavior, and assess which local products were performing best. Through this process, Maria refined her budgeting skills, considerably more adept than before. She knew where every dollar was going, how to allocate resources smartly, and what adjustments were needed to maintain growth. One evening, as she was going through upcoming inventory costs, Maria paused, feeling an immense sense of achievement. "I never thought I'd be able to navigate the financial side of a business this well," she pondered. Her perspective on money had shifted from seeing it as a burden to viewing it as a tool for building opportunities. It was no longer just about making ends meet, it was about creating value for herself and her community. As the weeks flowed on, Maria took to experimenting with new ideas inspired by customer feedback. She launched a monthly themed event showcasing a local artist, turning evenings into vibrant community gathering points that drew larger crowds. Every new idea filled her with excitement but also a steady rhythm of caution. She ensured each project corresponded with their budget, choosing to grow steadily rather than rushing towards unnecessary risks. Planning became her passion, marrying creativity with strategic thinking. Yet, amid these successes, Maria regularly reflected on her journey. Those days of struggle, the moments of doubt, fear of failure, and self-sabotage, echoed in her mind. It's where she now found her strength. She didn't bypass the struggles, instead, she embraced them as important lessons that pushed her growth. One quiet evening at the coffee shop, Maria sat with a cup of coffee in her hands, reminiscing about the chaos surrounding the flood. It had felt like the end of everything, but it turned out to be a crucial moment in her life. In those moments of hardship, she had honed resilience. She had learned that setbacks are vital parts of any journey. Her perception of success also evolved. Maria now understood that wealth is not solely about numbers and figures. It is about collaboration, creating a supportive environment, and building something meaningful that reframes the ordinary aspects of life into opportunities for connection. Even more, Maria recognized the compounding effect that positive financial habits bring. She started setting manageable financial goals for both herself and the business, ensuring that they built a safety net to buffer against future uncertainties. Maria had come miles from where she first began, and though she still had more to learn, she felt empowered by her growth. Her journey was a story of transformation, one that reminded her that success ultimately comes not just from the pursuit of wealth but from being adaptable and persistent, met with an open heart willing to seize chances even amid challenges. Each day felt like an insistent reminder of the power she held within to shape her destiny. One sunny afternoon, as Maria worked the counter at the coffee shop, she noticed a young man standing hesitantly by the entrance, glancing at the vibrant decorations inside. After a moment, he stepped in, looking around with wide eyes. Maria greeted him warmly. "Hi there. Welcome. Come on in, it's a great day for coffee." The young man, named Carlos, quickly explained that he had dreams of starting his own small business but felt stuck. He had only recently graduated from high school and wanted to put his skills to use. However, the idea of managing money for a venture terrified him. A flicker of recognition crossed Maria's mind as he stood there, sharing his uncertainty. She had been in his shoes not long ago, so the moment felt serendipitous. As they chatted over steaming cups, Maria could see the excitement beneath Carlos's nervousness. She was reminded of her journey, the flood of pressures, fear, and discovery. Unlike before, instead of doubting, she felt a desire to offer guidance. Taking a sip of her coffee, she asked, "What are you thinking about starting?" Carlos talked passionately about his dream to open a mobile taco stand, serving locally sourced ingredients. Maria listened closely, offering small bits of encouragement. Then, she pivoted the conversation towards finances. "Have you thought about how much money you'll need to get started?" she asked. Carlos's enthusiasm dwindled as he discussed the expenses he feared he couldn't cover. Understanding the situation well, Maria decided to share her lessons learned. "When I opened the coffee shop, I made a lot of mistakes at first because I didn't know how to budget properly. But I developed a plan. Let's work together to set some small goals you can achieve." With Carlos, she broke down his initial requirements, the cost of ingredients, licensing fees, and the equipment he'd need for the stand. They explored potential revenue and talked about how much he could realistically earn at community events. As they put numbers to paper, she could see Carlos shine with hope. Breaking things down made his dream feel attainable. Because she had learned the importance of integrating financial habits into daily life, Maria encouraged Carlos to begin budgeting from the start. She explained how to use a simple spreadsheet to track expenses and profits, underscoring the importance of understanding cash flow right from the onset. It allowed him to design a sustainable business plan without losing sight of his aspirations. With each passing minute, their dialogue transformed from fear to excitement, illuminating Carlos's potential. "I never thought about it that way," he said, his eyes gleaming with possibility. "It feels way less overwhelming." Maria smiled, appreciating her own transformation. The following weeks, Carlos became a regular at the coffee shop, bringing drafts of his business plans for further discussions. His confidence grew with each meeting, and Maria relished in the opportunity to guide him along his path. Their collaborative efforts turned into joyous brainstorming sessions filled with ideas about refining his menus, branding, and engaging with potential customers. As Carlos embarked on a successful journey with his taco stand, Maria found herself reflecting. This external challenge had once again tested her, but she approached it with a calm assurance that was foreign to her earlier self. Her ability to share knowledge and support another aspiring entrepreneur filled her with gratitude and pride. Through this experience, Maria discovered the essence of true wealth, not only in sustaining her own business but in empowering others. As she kicked off a monthly budgeting workshop at the coffee shop for community members, they began mentoring young entrepreneurs regularly. What once was a path filled with fear and uncertainty had transformed into one framed by confidence, logic, and logical financial decision-making. The challenges that lay ahead excited her now, and she embraced the role of mentor wholeheartedly, using every lesson she had learned along her journey. At this moment, Maria fully understood that growth wasn't just about personal success, it was also about lifting others as they climbed. Every morning, the smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air as Maria opened the doors to her thriving coffee shop. She looked around, taking in the vibrant atmosphere, a blend of locals chatting, art displayed on the walls, and the hum of content customers enjoying her brewed creations. It had been a year since she faced the challenges that once felt overwhelming, and that smell represented the victory of careful planning and hard work. Since launching her budgeting workshops, more community members had begun visiting. Past students now contributed to the discussions, sharing their successes while expressing gratitude for the encouragement they received from Maria. This sense of community had transformed the coffee shop into more than just a place to grab a drink, it became a beacon of hope for aspiring entrepreneurs. Maria felt a newfound financial independence that had grown outside of just profitability. She had learned to balance her personal and business finances. She established a savings plan, ensuring that funds were set aside not only for growth but also for emergencies. The experience with the flood taught her the importance of safety nets. This proactive mindset empowered her to tackle any challenge without fear. As part of her journey, Maria recognized the value of disciplined spending. Instead of splurging on unnecessary items, she made intentional choices about her purchases. She practiced financial principles in her personal life, reflecting on each expense and ensuring they aligned with her long-term goals. Whether it was investing in quality ingredients for the coffee shop or setting aside money for future projects, every decision was calculated, inspired by her prior experiences. During a quiet afternoon, as she reflected on her progress, Maria realized her perspective had shifted dramatically. Success was no longer an unattainable goal but a journey that continued to unfold. To her, true financial success meant having the freedom to make choices aligned with her dreams and the ability to support the dreams of others. As she reviewed her metrics and growth plans, Maria embraced the realization that learning is an ongoing process. There were countless possibilities ahead, and inspiring others to pursue their aspirations had become a core aspect of her vision. Supporting Carlos in launching his taco stand was more than just a mentorship, it sparked a community initiative. Inspired by their collaboration, Maria began to develop a small local marketplace that would allow budding entrepreneurs to showcase their goods once a month, promoting collective growth and success as a community. This collaborative approach aligned with her belief that individual success thrived through the support of many. Maria noticed that the more she invested in her community, the deeper her understanding of personal finance became. She actively engaged in listening to stories while helping others strategize their dreams. This open dialogue sparked inspiration. Watching ideas flourish filled her with joy and reaffirmed her commitment to lift others as they climbed. In different conversations, she emphasized that for many, financial independence goes beyond simply earning more money. It involves developing a mindset grounded in knowledge, perseverance, and adaptability. It's not about how much you earn, she said, smiling at her customers. It's about what you do with what you earn. With awareness of her journey leading the way, Maria felt confident in the lessons learned. Each small victory compounded into the bigger picture of success, reinforcing the importance of resilience in the face of challenges. As she encouraged others to follow their paths, she felt grateful for each lesson taught and learned, knowing beyond any doubt that true financial success was within their reach. The coffee shop was loud with optimism, a marker of the journeys they could all take together.